So let me bring up Cynthia, and then we are changing the banners and starting with another amazing conversation. So welcome, Cynthia. How are you today?
Hi, Andrea. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
After
good. I'm
after
just
the entire full morning and afternoon.
yeah. I started to feel like at the session with Charm, I was like
Mm.
putting her on one screen, and I was like just
Yeah, I saw
escaping a
that.
little bit to get some walnuts. I didn't really. I have to work on this one because there's no break in between, so there I made a mistake in the scheduling. So next time I know I need to have some time to get some snacks and to get my energies up. So welcome in the studio. I'm so happy to have you here. And we are talking about something that is really close to my heart. I love to talk about happiness, and I believe we all have it in ourselves, and we just have to find it. So I'm so happy to talk about this with you. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and yes, what's your calling? What is your purpose?
Sure. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. And my name is Cynthia Pinga. I am a happiness coach and founder of Debugging Minds with my husband. So, just a little, a short background of what our company does. At Debugging Minds, we actually help people transform themselves to actually live their dreams and possibilities. And we do this through webinars, even certain trainings, one-to-one coachings as well. But before all this started, right? Oh yes, before I get into that, make sure you stay to the end of this session because I have some freebies to give you all. Okay, so before all of this started, right, I was this typical person. Now, I was born and raised in Perlis. If you do not know where Perlis is, it is the very north state of Malaysia. Andrea, I'm not sure if you've been there.
Yeah, I
Um,
have been. I have been.
Oh yay! Not many people, go there actually. So I was this person who, followed the flow of going to school, graduate, and then get a job. Everybody goes through this. But while I was in this journey of life, I was always looking for my purpose, for my mission. I always, look at things of how I can actually upgrade myself, how I can improve myself. I think yesterday we had this panel discussion on personal growth, and I mentioned that we should always upgrade ourselves, just the way like how we upgrade our laptops, our phones, and the software in our phones, right? So I was always on this upgrading myself, learning new things, and seriously, I got into a bunch of whole different things. All right. Um, and I always felt that there was this calling for me to help people experience happiness. Because whether we like it or not, no matter how rich or poor you are, no matter whether you're sad or happy or whatever emotion that you've gone through the day, at the end of the day, you want to, be happy and have a fulfilled life. So here I am. Yeah. And
It's really good to hear that you are embracing life as it is, and you are trying to figure out new ways. And I love your curious mind, because I know that how does it feel when you go to bed and you are still just thinking about what has happened to me and how can I put that all in my life and how can I
Mhm.
improve and how will I do this and how will I upgrade tomorrow. These are all questions that people normally don't see, but it's all going on behind the scenes and in our minds. No matter what we do, it's just coming back, especially if you are driven like us. So
Yeah.
Cynthia, what do
Yeah.
you do first when you are searching for your happiness DNA? How do you find that? How do you figure it out? What exactly is your message with the title?
Okay, so I like to look at life. I like to look at things even from this bigger picture, right? look at it from a bigger picture. And just like how Jack was saying earlier, she had this 1,000 puzzle pieces to put in, right? This big picture, sometimes we might not be able to comprehend at the beginning, but we are all these small puzzle pieces, and we are all interconnected with each other. And when I look at this happiness, how I actually came out with this topic, in fact, is that I used to tell people, because I read a lot of things, right? And whenever people are feeling down, or they're not in a good state, I'd always go and tell them that, be happy. Happiness comes from within. And then they look at me and they give me this look like, yeah, I was happy about this situation, because they're not in that state to actually be happy at that point. And as I actually search and research and learn this subject of happiness, and what it really means that happiness comes from within, is that it really really starts from within, in your cells. I mean, your body cells. And that's how I came up with this happiness DNA. Now, what happens is that in our DNA, there's something known as genes, right? And um, let me explain this to you. Now, in our brain, we have something known as neurons, right? Some of you may know it, but there's these cells in our brains which are known as neurons. Now, don't worry if you don't know what neurons look like. I just want you all to imagine this. Those wire cables that you see outside, right? Those big wire cables. Um, Look at these wire cables and just imagine that at the end of these wire cables, they're just like wiggling like this, right? And every time you think about something, or there's a certain thinking pattern or a decision that you make, these wire cables tend to go and connect with each other, right? And these are what we call neuron connections. And every time you think, there's neuron connections that's been made. And if you keep thinking in the same pattern, then the previous neuron connections are just going to be, thicker cables, right? So you have the thinner cables, and then you have the thicker cables coming up. Just perhaps let me give you an example. You see, everyone has a thinking pattern, right? Now, if I say chocolate, what comes to your mind? And I know you're hungry right now. But,
Dark chocolate. I think dark chocolate. I love cacao and 100% dark chocolate. Yummy,
oh,
yummy.
great. Actually, just like my husband, when I say chocolate, he says, dark chocolate, because, milk chocolate has all this, added sugars and all this stuff. But to some people, chocolate is like, chocolate cake, it's yummy. But it's two, does it make it wrong? It's not. It's just two different thinking patterns. Now, if I say traffic jam, what would you think? Some
India.
people,
All those pictures going around with all these motorbikes and
nice. And people who are usually stuck in traffic jam are those people who sometimes they feel very frustrated. They get very angry even before they go to work, right? But for me and some of my friends, apparently, um, I when I was in KL, I kind of liked traffic jam simply because for me it was like a me time. That's the time where, if I want to sing, practice my vocal cords or whatever, who cares if I go out of pitch, because I'm there with myself, right? So these are different thinking patterns, and everyone have their own kind of thinking patterns, right? And the more happier thinking patterns you have, the more neuron connections you have. And these thinking patterns actually would affect the genes in your DNA. And we know that as humans, DNAs can be passed down, it can be inherited, right? Now, it doesn't matter whether, if you're in the stage of childbearing or not, or if you pass that stage of not possible way for you to actually pass down this DNA. The thing is that, you see, there was this one research done by David Licken, right? And his research actually said that well-being and happiness is at least 50% inherited. Now, even if you like I mentioned, if you're not in this stage of childbearing whatsoever, by having this happy neuron connections in your brain simply means that you become a happier person. And I think, Andrea, you have that, because I've never seen you frown every time you every time I talk to you. You're always smiling. Yeah. And some people would come and tell me, like, okay, so it's just 50% inherited of happiness. But what about if I inherited bad genes, say 70 to 80% of bad genes? It doesn't matter, guys, because as long as you even have, say, 10% of something which you can control, it's something that you can always do. And we are always moldable, we can always grow, out of that. And I think this was the concept that I wanted to put in my topic here today, that your happiness starts from within, in your DNA. It can be inherited. Otherwise, you just turn out to be this amazing happy person, right? Yeah.
Okay, and if you are not a happy person, or if you are inherited all this little bit more negative environment, a little bit harder past, a little bit being always in this situation, I mean, how do those people go about it? What can they do to adapt, and how can they change maybe mindset, or switch? Can they switch between happiness DNA and something less happy?
Yes, definitely. Like I said earlier, right? Even if it's just you inherited those bad genes, you still can, because the fact that even if you have 1% in your power to change yourself, we are human, and there's this. I think very recently there's this study of neuroplasticity, which
Mhm.
is, I know I'm getting a little bit a bit technical here, but what does it actually mean is that our brain is very plastic, and we know that plastics are very moldable, and as humans, we are actually very moldable, right? Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if you actually have bad genes, you can actually um, change that, right? And how do we do that? Is firstly is by changing our thinking patterns. Now it's going to be a little bit harder for those of you who say, like Andrea say, let's say you're born with a little bit of negative, not so good genes, but um, you can actually change your thinking patterns, because it's not just the neurons that's in your brain. There's a lot of other things that's happening. Don't even ask me, but there's a lot of hormones and cells that's facilitating and making sure that your body is actually functioning. And these are all just these are just triggers. So what can you actually do to change your thinking pattern in order to change this, or to we call it rewire yourself, okay, rewire these neurons in your brain, is to change your lens, to change your perspective when you look at things. Sometimes people fall into a certain situation that is maybe very emotional, right? For example, let me tell you a story perhaps. When I started dating my husband, I was very young. I was about like 18, and I think it's very normal that at a young age, I think Asian parents, especially, they wouldn't want their child to actually get into dating at a very young age. Um, and I actually had this one person who I could always talk to, and I would go to this person and talk to this person, and at times he will always tell me this, that I know it feels that you're going through all this, and your parents doesn't want you to don't want you to actually date at this young age. But try to look at it from their perspective. If they're saying this, then there must be something that they think that is good for you. So try to look at at their perspective. Now, at that age, of course, I was very young, and it's not easy for you to actually look from a parent's perspective. Now that I am a parent, I think I can kind of make the connection of why my parents did what they did. Um, but one thing that I did at that point was I did not shut down that thought. I did not shut down that, what, I don't care about what they think or what their perspective is. I kept it open. And I think because I kept it open, I was able to go through life. And, as I grow up, as I increase my self awareness, I was able to actually see things from their perspective. So it's all a matter of changing your lens, reframing, perhaps reframing events. And this can be anything at all. It can be, if you're having an argument with your boss, or maybe a miscommunication with a spouse, or family issues, child parent, parent child, or sibling issues, some age gap issues, and they fight with them, fight with a friend. It is your ability to look from different perspective which would actually change this entire situation, this entire event that you're looking things for. So the how to, would be, how do you actually change this thinking pattern? Is, you see, if you're in an event, or if a situation happened where you were emotionally hurt, or it was a very very strong emotion that happened, right? um we tend to replay this situation in our head. Have you guys had that, right? You feel hurt, and then you go down and you're all alone, or something triggers. This thing starts to get triggered in your brain, and you kind of keep repeating in that. It's like a movie. But what I want you to do is that next time, try this. That whenever you have this movie repeating in your head, this whole scenario, instead of being inside and feeling that hurt all the time, look at it from an observer's point of view. Just watch the movie like how you go to the cinema and watch the movie. Watch it, look at it from an observer's point of view. Don't be judgmental about it. And then reflect. Reflect and ask this question: what's good in this? Is there any lesson that I can learn from this? Was it really my fault? Was it really the other person's fault? If it was my fault, what actually can I learn from it? Is there anything that I can improve? Because this is how we improve. A lot of times people don't want to think about it because they prefer to be in their head. They prefer to be comfortable with their current way of thinking, right? um, and they're just scared, or maybe scared of the truth. Or if I start reflecting, maybe it will reflect on me that, okay, I was bad in this situation, and I don't want to listen to that truth, right? Yeah, but this is how you change that way of thinking. That's how you reconnect or rewire those neuron connections. And this is one way that you can actually be happier in your life. There's nothing that you can do about the event or the situation that has passed, but there is always something that you can do to move forward. A lot of time people are just stuck with that movie in their head, and that is it. They don't reflect on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very popular life coaching exercise to change your own movie. It's a very, very nice thing to do. That I remember when I was doing my coaching certification, it was the exercise of building your life story. And then
Mm-hmm.
you had to build together like a real plot, the whole movie from the beginning until the end with the climax and everything. And then after you are working on the new way, the new movie, the new life, and the new movie that you want to live, and it's kind of giving you a nice beautiful big picture about who you were before and who you want to be, and then
Yep.
you just have to work on getting there. And this gives such a, there's so many nice tools to just to use when you are starting a journey like this. And searching for your happiness DNA is definitely something, looking inwards,
Yes.
finding all these things, the root causes of your problems. I was in lean management before, so for me, asking 5 whys and then going to the root cause with the fish diagram and all these kind of things. It's
Right.
it's very funny, but all those A3s and all these fishbone diagrams and all this can be related to life too, because in your personal life you are having the same things, and why would you think that you don't have to dig deep and find the root cause to solve something? I mean, that's just so irrelevant. You really have to do the work. Like, you that
Yeah.
cannot skip this to go down and to work on it, unless you are already over it and you made your peace with it, and you can leave it behind and you don't need
Mm-hmm.
to worry about it. But if it's triggering you, if it's happening to you, then it's best to go until you find the root cause. I'm so loving the analogy that you have here with the rewiring and then making ourselves and our brains stronger by the neuroplasticity, by the lot of opportunities that we haven't even explored from the humankind. And with the new technologies coming up, uploading and downloading our brain and all these crazy ideas. It's just like it's never stops. You have to be so curious and you have to adapt all the time. So coming towards the end of the conversation and the second part of the conversation, I would love to ask you about the practical part, because I love to give the people practical advice, not just to talk
Mhm.
about it, but to give them a roadmap kind of thing.
Right.
What can they do to find this happiness DNA within, and how can they start, and what's the journey?
Okay, I think one main thing. Okay, the first thing is rewiring yourself, looking at things from a different perspective. Another thing is that these are some components that I'm going to share with you that is very, very crucial to you being happy. Okay. And the first thing is be kind and compassionate to yourself. A lot of times we are always very hard on ourselves, right? And in certain situations, do understand that you are human and we make mistakes. Okay. and and it's okay. The whole point of making mistakes is, so that you can actually learn from things. If you don't make mistakes, everything is perfect. Just like our last session, life is going to be boring, right? So be kind and be compassionate to yourself. Sometimes we put too much of high expectation on ourselves, and when we don't get it, we get frustrated, right? And you keep asking, why is this happening to me? Now the second thing is gratitude. Now this is easy. Okay, so I'm not going to spend so much time on this. Gratitude. I, literally just, you don't have to wait for Thanksgiving. In Malaysia, we don't really even celebrate Thanksgiving, but just be grateful and thankful every day for all the small things. Now, it's easy for you to be grateful for things that you can see, but sometimes you forget the blessings, the grace, the things that we cannot see. For example, like the way that I started off with gratitude was to say, let's say, thank you for the internet. Yeah, I'm so loving the internet today. It's so stable. Yeah. But that is something that you can see as a result of, right? And what you actually don't see is that I start thinking back, okay, who actually created it? What was needed to actually have this? And then I start thinking about people those engineers, the fiber optics guy, the guy who came and installed my internet. And I just thank these people, just from within, from my heart. You don't have to go there and thank them because you have no idea who these people are. But just sending them this blessing to say that yes, because of you guys, I had this today. You kind of go to the next level of gratitude, right? So now this is easy to do, and this third thing is something which I do want to spend some time on it. I hope I can get it done in the next 10 minutes or so. The third component of really having a happy life and fulfilled life is forgiveness. Now, um, like I mentioned, right, when you have or you're in a situation of, hurt or pain, where this movie is always triggering in your head, um, there must be a time, or you were actually got hurt or offended, and that is why it keeps triggering in your head. And most of the time people don't think of this component of forgiveness, right? But if you were to actually have a happy fulfilled life, it's important for you to practice forgiveness. And let me share with you this misconception or myth of forgiveness. People would think forgiveness as, it's about the other person. That's one. Secondly, they'll think that if I forgive this person, that means I'm okay with what happened. But that is not it. Forgiveness is never really about the other person. Forgiveness is always about you. It's about how you um, don't put much energy in just actually holding that unforgiveness within yourself. So it's more of, when you forgive, it's you are actually releasing yourself with all that anger and hatred, and it changes the way of emotional projections that you have on that memory, on that movie that you have in your head. And forgiving a person doesn't mean that you're okay with what happened. You're just saying that, I forgive you. There will still be consequences, either for you or for me. but I'm just letting you go, and that's okay to me. That doesn't mean that I'm okay with what happened. I'm just letting you go. I am just releasing you from all this. I don't want to feel anything. So, so what actually you can do is that when you start having this movie and this hurt keeps coming back and all that, what you can do is this: say I forgive you. Now in my coaching sessions, I usually go through, there are a few ways, to go through this forgiveness practice. uh, but the easiest way is that every time something triggers you, every time the memory triggers you to this hurtful situation or whatever it may be, just say I forgive you. Now it's not going to be I forgive you and that's it, you're forgiven next day. This memory and everything is going to come again, and forgiveness is a repeated process. It has, you have, every time it triggers you, just say I forgive you, right? And you will one day realize that if you practice this, the next time that this thing triggers, um, you will not feel as much hurt as you did the first place, right? And at one point, when the memory comes, and if you don't really feel anything much, then you know that you have done most of this forgiveness process with that person or with that situation, and that is how you practice it. So,
I love it. And we heard a lot of things in this session. We were starting with the happiness DNA, that people have sometimes a very happy life and they inherit the happiness DNA. Lalita was mentioning that in India there is something which is believed that if a happy woman has a happy pregnancy and they are happy while they have the child, then the kid will inherit this happiness and they will be like, I would say I'm a love child. I have been created a night of the after marriage, so it's a honeymoon kiddo. So I believe that that also contributing to who I am today, and to be someone who have been loved and have been waited, it also gives a very good start for life. But there is also solution for those who are coming from different circumstances, and there is a way to rewire your brain. And I think that was your main message here,
yeah,
that okay, you can have your DNA, you can have something that is given. It's like we have our body. I will not never have 2 meter long legs, but in the meantime I can be grateful for what I have and forgive myself and others for doing something to me, and then it will give me freedom to rewire my brain, to create something new, and to inherit, and this is more important, I guess,
yeah,
to inherit the happiness DNA to the next generation, to my
that's
kids,
right.
so that I
Yeah.
free myself from all the burden and all the baggages, right?
Yeah, and I think that's very true as well. Now I just want to add on this, if we have time. The Dalai Lama said that, as humans, when we were born, we are this kind, gentle, and compassionate person, right? And that is true, because when I look at my kids, this is, they come with a,
Sure.
with an empty slate, empty slate, right? And you see that they're kind, they're gentle, they're compassionate. But as we go through life, we kind of forget this. But if on our deathbed we are still this human who are kind, gentle, and compassionate, and we want to leave this world in a peaceful manner, at that point, on our deathbed, we are going to forgive anyone and everyone anyway.
So
So
why don't we do it earlier?
yeah, why not, you start the process right now, instead of waiting at that last moment, yeah. And as I was actually preparing for this session, this sentence or thought just came in to my head, and this is it: if you're not ready to die tomorrow, there is something that you're not doing right today. Let me repeat that. If you're not ready to die tomorrow, there is something you're not doing right today. Quote unquote, Cynthia Pina. So, it simply means that, if there's something that you're not doing, if you're not ready to die tomorrow, that means there's something that you're hanging on to today. Maybe it's that unforgiveness. Maybe you're hanging on to your, that 1 million bank savings account that you have. It's time to detach and, do something about it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you can do this, then you would have lived a very happy and fulfilled life. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think this has been a great session. A lot of new wisdom nuggets that we have to digest, as I say always. So I'm so happy to have you on stage and bringing all your happiness. And then I see the child in you. I see the happy child still there. And I'm so happy to
Thank
see
you.
people when they are keeping their inner child awake and having this pureness and happiness and bringing it on stage. And I'm so happy to feature you here. And then think it's time for your freebies and for the time that we are. I will share the link, but you can explain a little
Yep.
bit about it, what it is, and yeah, what can the people find at the end of this link.
Okay. So I think okay, once and they're post the link to you guys. There are all these freebies which actually how you can. There's one ebook how to get from where you are to where you want to be, and then there's also this two um, trainings. These are free trainings. It's just for you guys how to manage your time and how to be unstoppable, how you can take charge of your day, beat mediocrity, and stay focused, and how to be a top performer by managing your time. And there's this planner which you can download as well for your own self development. This week is all about personal growth, so I'm very happy to gift this to you guys. And do go to the website and check it out, as well as you will also find some upcoming events on the website. So please go and check it out. There's this one event which is, I think, very important: review, reflect, recalibrate. It's an event where you actually review your year. We are towards the end of the year, and I think companies have done their KPI, their appraisals, and all that. But have you done it for yourself? This is time to see.
You see that on my table there, right there. That's my
Yeah,
2023.
and that's nice. You started. That's good. Yeah. So for those of you who haven't started, please, join us and see what's your win, your hits that you've gotten this year, what the mistakes and that you can learn from this year. Because again, this is how we grow. You know.
Yeah,
So
please join the session. And this is something that I learned from my past. I'm always doing this. It's not just my year end. I do this almost every single day because Cynthia knows when you are driven, when we are having all this hyperactive, wired brain that wants to do something new and explore something new. Every single day we learn something. So imagine when I do this summit and I do it for
yeah.
6 weeks and listening to so many people at the same time, my
Mhm.
brain is burning, guys. My brain is really burning. And I want you to experience this when you are meeting with 100 speakers or 125 speakers as of today and of this at this summit. Then there is really a very small chance that you will not be triggered by some of the speakers to have a transformation or to start a change. It's really fantastic because everyone has a different style. Everyone is so coming from a different perspective and so inspiring that if you rewatch these sessions or you are with us throughout these weekends, there will be a point when you will feel, okay, now it's time for me to go to Cynthia's session. And now it's time to check out my 2023 and how I will do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I see a lot of comments, a lot of comments in the comment section. Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
they all
guys.
love
I'm
your
so happy.
sessions. They really love your
Yeah.
sessions, but I think it's all about they are conversing, they are digesting. So I really just put them out very shortly
Mm,
because I really like the comment section to be themselves, to be on their
mhm.
own. I see the dynamism between the different participants talking to each other, and it helps to digest the session. So there were no questions, but guys, if you have questions, please put it up, and Cynthia will check on this live stream later.
Yeah, you can
And,
also connect with me on LinkedIn, DM me there, no problem.
and you also have the sessions. So one more time, the freebies, I will put it up. It's already in the comments, so you just can scroll up and you can click on the links. But if you want to reach out for Cynthia, I think the best is the website debuggingminds.com, and then you can search for events. So reach out if you need some help. And thank you so much, Cynthia, for being here. And thank you
Thank you so
for
much, Andrea.
giving your Saturday, part of your Saturday to others and empowering others.